It is 6:36. Let's have a look at the main stories in the papers today. And joining us to go through all of those and a few extra, writer and columnist Emma Wolfe and the legendary broadcaster Pete Price. Good morning to you both. Before we have a chit-chat, let's run through those front pages.
We start with the Sunday Telegraph, which leads with Rishi Sunak's pledge to curb benefits and government spending in order to fund tax cuts.
Sunday Times has Post Office fury, with the Justice Secretary exploring how to properly clear hundreds of sub-postmasters wrongly convicted.
Prince Andrew, I'm going nowhere. That's the headline on the front of the Mirror.
The Independent reports on Jeremy Hunt's free childcare plan unravelling because there's not enough cash.
The Sunday Express leads with criminal gangs behind the small boat scandal raking in nearly £500 million since the Channel crisis began.
All right, let's just run you through those then in a bit more detail with Pete and Emma. Morning, both. Let's talk tax cuts, Emma. Sunday Telegraph.
Well, you would be amazed to think that the Prime Minister's on a sort of election footing. But obviously both parties are. And Sunak has given an interview to the Sunday Telegraph talking about how he'll manage to give us wonderful, wonderful things at the next election and how we should all vote for him. And guess what? That means tax cuts.
Oh.
And this is what, you know, obviously the many Tory MPs are desperate for, and many Tory voters are keen to hear from him. So this latest sort of intervention is that he's going to really crack down curbing benefits and controlling government spending. There's a sense, obviously, amongst many Conservatives that that's got out of control. We've just had the national insurance cut that's come in a few days ago, and well, I think yesterday, actually.
Yesterday, yeah.
Yesterday. Funny day for it to come in, but anyway. And then Rishi Sunak's talking about the nobility of work in this interview. He's talking about, you know, rewarding people that are working hard, and that he really wants to be able to, or that he will, he's actually committing, he's saying he will be cutting taxes by the May 6th spring budget.
All right. What do you reckon, Pete?
Interesting, and good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Morning, Pete.
No, I think to reward people who are working is very important to get people back to work. There's an awful lot of people not working, and we have to get them back to work. There's an awful lot of goings on, and it's a great benefit system. That's why so many people are coming to our wonderful country. I think Richie is clutching at straws. There's got to be an election and there will be another government, but there's going to be problems with that because it's not going to happen overnight.
No, I mean, the issue is, because this has been going on for a long time. It was Ian Duncan Smith, when he was working pensions, wasn't it, saying that's why universal credit, that's it, was brought in, because he said you've got to make work pay.
You've got to make work pay. And the problem now is that we have more than ever, we have people sitting in the benefit system on universal credit and things like that since the pandemic. So those numbers are spiralling out of control. But as Pete says, there are lots of people, you know, not in work. So I think it's going to be very, very tricky how you kind of, without punishing them, how you move people from a benefit system that, you know, really is quite massive now, really quite a huge cost.
And people don't want to work. After the pandemic, we had the best weather. They had 80% of their wages paid, some of them. I was one of the 2.8 million that didn't get anything. But when they had the furlough, it was fantastic, and it did an awful lot of damage to this country.
But, yeah, but then another big problem is young people. There's a sort of record number of 18 to 24-year-olds who never start work, whether it's mental health problems or, you know, many other issues. They simply don't begin their working life employed. And so if you start off like that, 18, 19, with no sense of motivation or even a career path, or
you never get into it.
The habit of getting up, you know, going to work every day, putting on your shirt and tie, that kind of thing that we all did at the age, you know, when we left school or university, it's problematic.
And the reason being, they're in the rooms on the computers and on the games, and they're not learning any skills to talk to people, to go for job interviews, nothing. We are in a mess. But not just our country, an awful lot of countries like us.
Yeah, I know. Do you know what? There will be some people watching saying it's all right for you lot moaning about this. It's the older people, particularly moan about what the youth are like and all the rest of it. But I know a lot of employers now who say when they get the young people, they don't know how to do an interview, they don't know how to dress for work, they don't know how to have a conversation.
Pick up the phone.
Yeah. I've got two stories from my radio show. One, a girl came in for a fashion job, and she came in her pyjamas for the job interview because she said, this is fashion. And the boss of the shop was... And then a guy came on my show to offer a job, a very well-paid job, and he got the jobs filled, and then he said, can I tell you a story? And a guy rang up and he said, I'm looking for that job. That's perfect for me. I get up about 10. I live in Speak. Do you want to drive up and see me and we'll do the interview?
No.
On my life, we'll do the interview, have a cup of tea with me. And he went, I'll try and make it, yeah. You see, this is the world we're living in.
But also, Stephen, I don't think it's fair what you said, because I think that... no, you were saying, you know, people might be thinking, oh, well, it's easier for them. I worked my way out. I've worked minimum wage jobs. I mean, I think that a lot of professions now are really, really badly paid. So, you know, there will be young people thinking, well, I'm not going to do that for £12 an hour. I'm not going to do that when I can get benefits for free or whatever, or I can claim I've got anxiety and depression, because there are more and more conditions now where you can be signed off and just be on benefits. But I think... I mean, you know, I'm sure Pete has. I've worked my way up. I've done all sorts of things. I've cleaned hotel rooms and things like that. I've done waitressing. I've done those jobs as well. And then you kind of, you know... So I don't think, you know, I don't think we should assume that just because we're saying... I mean, I think work is good for you.
But I think that's what people level at you, though, isn't it?
Of course they do.
I mean, I worked in a shoe factory.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
you worked in a shoe factory. I had 2 jobs when I was at school. I had a milk round and I did delivery as well as school. A pal of mine at university had 2 jobs to help get through university because of the cost, to help his mum and dad. It's a value, and I don't care what people say about young people.
It's got to say,
I mean,
you're still the oldest paper boy in Liverpool.
There's a million gags there, Steve.
No. OK, let's move on to Prince Andrew, should we? He ain't going nowhere, according to the Sunday Mirror.
Yes. Bless him. I've got my glasses to read, but I've had my cataracts done, so I can see everything, but I need reading. Yeah. So here we are. Prince Andrew refuses to quit his plush royal pad, despite new claims about his links with Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
Beg your pardon, Epstein. And he just won't give it up, and there's all sorts of stories about him yet again. And the 30-bedroom house, a source next to his wife, next to whoever the source is. Yeah. There's always a source, but he won't give his house up. What he doesn't understand is he's not popular. People don't like him. His arrogance the other day, why is people filming me? That went out, the video. He's not liked. Why should we keep him? Why should we keep him in a 30-bedroom? Why do you need 30 rooms in your house? Yeah. What is going on? Nobody wants him. And we've got to cut down. We're cutting down in every walk of life, so why can't we cut down with the royals?
Well, the pressure will be on King Charles now, won't it?
Yeah, he's becoming... I mean, look, with the latest revelations and more to come, Prince Andrew's becoming a real thorn in the side for King Charles, isn't he? He's had, you know, he's dealt with the Harry and Meghan problem, and he's got the Prince Andrew problem, which is now bubbling up again. I think there's going to be increasingly views like Pete saying, hang on a minute, he's still living at the taxpayer's expense. OK, he was stripped of various honorary titles and things like that. But in terms of him staying, is it at the Royal Lodge? I think it's the Royal Lodge. That
Lodge, 30 rooms.
Where he lives with Sarah Ferguson at the taxpayer's behest. I don't know whether King Charles can freeze him out anymore. He seems to have taken him back as part of the family. He was part of the Sandringham celebrations. He has, as you say, limited contact with the public, and he doesn't seem to do that very well. But I mean, it's a really damaging part. Well, it's a really damaging brother for the king to have.
Worth pointing out that, of course, he denies all the allegations made against him.
And also paid a woman millions of pounds in hush money.
Do you know that he was so popular years ago? He was such a popular royal.
Well, he was the Playboy Prince, wasn't he?
How things have changed. The people loved him. But there was always stories about him being a bit of a hard person to be with. His arrogance, he sort of always was there.
And the court of public opinion is that, isn't it?
Yeah.
They talk about arrogance, and also people will not forget that Newsnight interview that was done. I mean, I'm very ill-advised.
I watch
car crash.
I watch it when I'm fed up because it reminds me of how good I am as an interviewer, and I'd have done well on that one.
Emma, we've got a big freeze coming our way.
Oh, it was colder this morning.
It was much colder. The last few days, the temperatures really dropped. So, following the flooding, and we had horrendous flooding all over the country. We had Storm Henk a few days ago. I nearly got blown off London Bridge on my bike. It was absolutely terrifying. Following that, we've now got... I know, it shouldn't have been on a bike, shouldn't have been out. We've now got Cold weather health warning, actually, for this week from the government. So it's serious. This isn't just us saying, you know, it's cold. We're going to have temperatures down to -10. Beast from the east is on its way.
Well, I heard
Another
also, I mean, yesterday they were also talking about possibly -14 in some places.
Yeah, I mean,
Chilly.
exactly. Once you get up to Scotland, you are talking about that kind of temperature. And after the flooding, you've got a lot of water sitting there. So then you get this problem of frost and ice and freezing fog and a bitter east wind. So I'm, very depressed about all this.
But isn't it amazing? I now know how Mary Poppins feels, because I had an umbrella and I took off a bridge nearly. It was horrendous. I was just, my brolly's gone. I was in a terrible state because the weather's bad. But isn't it amazing how the weather controls every newspaper, all the news stories now? In my day, it was just, back to my day, it was just, it's a cold day.
But we can't cope, can we? I mean, travel, think of the impact on travel this week. If we get down to -10, -14...
Yeah, but that never happened.
Roads were turned into rivers, you know?
Yeah, that never happened years ago. Leaves on the tracks.
Yeah, leaves on the line.
The train's not going because there are leaves on the tracks.
I know, that's just stuff and...
Yes.
Anyway, look, it's 6:47. Let's just remind you of the top stories this morning.
Prime Minister Rishi Sunak promises to slash taxes ahead of the election by curbing welfare and government spending, as he claims a vote for Farage is a vote for Labour.
Labour is calling on the Prime Minister to come clean about his reservations towards the Rwanda scheme when he was Chancellor, and published documents that allegedly show his apprehension.
The Health Secretary warns the knock-on effect caused by the junior doctors' strike could last for months amid the longest walkout in NHS history. But the union, the BMA, thinks they still have a lot of public support.
Public support has been increasing throughout the strike action. So I think, the public are feeling the pressure that the NHS is under as well. And I think they can empathise with the issues that doctors are facing.
Later in the programme, is it OK to call anybody fat? Well, the former founder of a sportswear company says some women are too overweight, too fat, basically, to wear leggings. Would you be offended?
What do you think of that one? I just want to get both of your opinions on that. This is the former founder of Lululemon, which Lululemon, which specialises in leggings. They are good, but they're very expensive. They're about £100 a pair.
Isn't Lululemon the one who decorated Boris and Carrie Johnson's
No, that was Lulu Guinness.
But
I'm getting my Lulus confused.
Don't get your Lulus confused.
But what do you make of these comments? This is the former founder of Lululemon saying that some women are too fat to wear the Lululemon leggings.
Well, they're crazy, for starters, because many, many women of all shapes and sizes wear athleisure wear all day long. They're not even going to the gym. They literally live in their expensive leggings because they're comfy and they look good and they pull you in, da-da-da-da-da. As someone who has spent years and years and years being called skinny, which is also a term of abuse, but it's a weird term of abuse that's meant to be a compliment, I am sick of constant comments about other people's bodies. You don't need to call women overweight, you don't need to call them underweight, just leave them alone.
Pete?
I've got to be careful on this one. All I will say is there's some sites out there. You go and you go, oh, my word, what's that just walked past me? Now, I've not said anything about fat, thin, so you can't have a go at me. But I saw a site the other day and I went, oh, I'm sorry. And it took up 2 seats next to me.
On a more serious note...
I was serious.
On a more serious
note. No, that was serious. I really
On a more serious note, I do think we need to be able to talk about weight in a health context. I do think that doctors need to get back to being able to say to patients, you are overweight, this is a health, this is a health risk, because the country is becoming more and more overweight and obese. 2/3 of UK adults are overweight and obese.
Can we say fat? Is the word fat?
And that's up to you, that's up to doctors. We somehow have made the word fat a term of abuse. So I think that people need to be able to discuss it, because obesity is the #1 health crisis, but it so easily slips into abusive, you can't say that about me, blah, 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 blah. So
interesting you say that. Once again, I'm from a generation. In my school, there was no obesity. We didn't even know what the word was.
Children weren't fat.
We went to America, first time we went to America, and we went, this is going to come to England. I have never seen anything like it the first time I saw obesity, but there was nobody. There was one fat lad in our school. They called him Fatty, and he wasn't fat.
Yeah,
You know, it wasn't
yeah.
fat. But so it's a scary thing.
And now, at my child's nursery, you see very overweight children, and it's a terrible, terrible health legacy for a child. For a young child to start off overweight.
Yeah.
That's a life, it's a life sentence, because you can't put a 3-year-old on a diet. It's a lifestyle thing, isn't it? It's about being more and more active. We would all play out after school. We would all play outdoors. We were never sat indoors on our phones.
Yep.
And also just the quantity, the sheer quantity of junk and processed food, I think, is problematic.
See, Ellie, you started this.
I know, I did. I got you going on that one, didn't I?
Yeah.
Let us know what you think about gbviews@gbnews.com.
I'll tell you what tend to be fat. Pugs.
They've got rolls, haven't they?
They've got rolls.
I love this
things.
one. This one's wonderful. So this New York-based pug is the most travelled dog, one of the most travelled dogs in the world. He's got 100,000 followers on Instagram and 77,000 on
Who wants
TikTok.
to follow a dog on Instagram?
Well, there's a goat.
Oh, look.
Look at
There's the dog.
thing.
Right,
He is
so
very sweet.
If
he's
you're
done
listening
two...
on the radio, he's got little antlers on and a blue furry
He must walk
200
miles. You know, airports, that's miles from each thing, from the luggage to the this to the that. That little guy on his tiny legs.
He's not doing it on his own, Emma. He's got an owner.
200.
I know, but
He is on his own. He checks in and everything.
does.
He must walk miles around the airport, is what I'm saying.
250 flights he's had so far. He fits into a cabin bag. He's been to Paris, Lisbon, Canada. He's everywhere, and he's a 7-year-old pug called Kuma, and he's now a star on the internet. But there's a goat.
Well, he's a TikTok influencer.
But this goat is a TikTok influencer, keeps eating food off other goats, and this woman who swears her head off saying, "Leave it, Gary, leave it. Leave it, Gary. Gary, leave it." So these animals are being influenced. But look at TikTok. I mean, you want to see some of the garbage on there that people follow. Absolutely. And these people who talk in your face. You're on double yellow lines. You don't know what you're talking. Don't start me on all that.
Oh, that drives me mad. It drives me mad.
So a little pug, and he's in the bag. Some friends of mine took, because you couldn't take dogs abroad without whatever.
Yeah.
And they had a little tiny poodle, and they got a few bob. She's dead now, sadly. And she put it in the pocket of her fur coat. And
dog?
Yeah, the dog. It was so small. And the stewardess came down and said, "Do you want a drink?" And I went, and he went, "Do you want a drink?" What was that noise? She went, "A gin and tonic." And then she got away with it. She got the dog off in Spain. Saved paying.
She smuggled the dog
She
through.
smuggled the dog in a fur coat.
Oh, you mix with a bad crowd.
I know.
Price.
Yes.
You've got another story here about dogs. Let's stick with dogs for a second. This dog, very naughty one, eaten $4,000 in banknotes.
Yeah, in
I
banknotes.
actually saw this on TikTok.
They took the banknotes out to pay for renovations in the backyard. Yeah. Solicited. Yeah. Well, all right. But you got 40,000 in the house. Cecil the dog ate the lot. But then I can't tell you the rest of the story because how they got it back and what they did.
Did they get it back? Did they?
Sort of shredded.
Let's just say it involved some gloves.
You can't. It's too early in the morning. To say
No, but
how
you
they-
could actually do that. Could take it back to the bank and say these are damaged notes.
It's,
and
well, look, see the picture. And
Well,
it's
they've washed
sort of,
it at least.
They've washed it, but they had to wash it because it's a terrible
They had
story
to pick
talk
through
about.
things, didn't they? With a set of gloves.
Incredible.
I was reading they got all of it back apart from $450, which couldn't be salvaged.
But it's a story, and
But everything else they've managed to get back, actually.
Well, that's impressive.
But it was great effort from the owners.
it's $40,000. I'd have done it.
Oh, yeah, I'd have done
I'd
it.
have done it, definitely.
Four
Pay for my backyard. I love the way they call it
I'd have done
backyards.
it for $50.
Yeah, me too.
I'd done it for £1.
If you've got a dog, though, you're used to it, aren't you? This is what they do.
You do. It's not.
Oh, yeah. Well, once
Eat
again,
anything.
TikTok and things like that. See these dogs. Who's done this to this parcel? The dog goes,
Yeah, they cause havoc. They do.
Oh, dear. Right, lovely. We've got to leave it there. Pete, Emma, thank you very much indeed. We shall see
Thank you.
a little bit later on. We've got lots heading your way very shortly, including this tax cut issue. PM seems to be promising more tax cuts on the way in the March 6th budget.
Yep.
But how's he going to pay for it?
Yeah, we'll let you know in the next hour. We've also been talking about a cold snap. Greg Dewhurst has all the details on that.